We're following more breaking news on the war in Iran. President Trump is weighing perhaps the most difficult decision of the war. Will he put U.S. boots on the ground to seize Iran's enriched uranium? Is that even possible? Iran says the U.S. and Israel struck the Natanz nuclear facility again overnight. And with thousands more troops on the way to the Middle East, Trump is strategizing ways to seize the enriched nuclear stockpiles. He told my colleague Steph Rule yesterday there is still what he called nuclear dust believed to be under a mountain in Isfahan. Joining us now, Joe Cirincione, nuclear policy and national security expert and vice chair of the Center for International Policy Board of Directors. Joe, you visited Isfahan yourself, that nuclear site. Not many Americans can say that. Describe what the site was like and what it might look like now after the previous U.S. strikes back in June.
Thank you for having me on, Ariel. When I visited the site back in 2005, I was at a conference on nuclear issues in Tehran, and our Iranian host asked if I and a few other Americans that were there would like to go down. As far as I know, we were the first Americans to visit the site. The first thing that struck me was that it was a large above-ground facility, vast in size, but I thought this is a soft target. You could, in fact, hit this and destroy much of the buildings. This is the uranium conversion site. This is where they take the milled uranium, the yellow cake, combine it with fluorine gas, and turn it into uranium hexafluoride, which can then be fed into centrifuges and enriched. We believe that now, since my visit years ago, that they've enhanced the site by digging deep underground structures there. And we believe that in one of those structures, 100 or more meters below the ground, beyond the reach of even the biggest American conventional bomb, that's where they have stored this 440 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. This uranium is enough for about 10 nuclear weapons if it were to be fed back into centrifuges and refined a little further. It would probably take them several weeks or so to do that at the centrifuges. So if there are still working centrifuges, if that uranium hexafluoride is still there, and we believe it is, that's the Iranian ace card. They could sprint to weapons material in a matter of weeks. It still will take them many months after that to build a working weapon, but this is the hardest step to do.
Yeah, exactly. So to that point, the million-dollar question is just how difficult and complicated would it be to not only locate all of that stockpile, that 60% enriched uranium? It could be stored in small canisters, as far as I understand it from experts I've spoken to, and it's relatively mobile. So it depends on sort of a race to see who gets there first. How difficult would it be to get to it and to remove it based on your experience there on the ground?
Trying to secure or destroy the uranium at Isfahan would be by far the most difficult commando mission in history. It dwarfs in complexity and difficulty anything previously attempted. Remember, this site is deep in Iran. It's 500 miles from the coast, maybe 700 miles from the staging area. So that's difficulty number one, just getting troops there. Clearly, you can't do it above ground, probably have to be airdropped. That gets very risky because Iran still has some defenses left. And we just saw this week when they hit an F-35 that could hit those planes. Second, once you get there, this is not stored above ground. It's not like going into a warehouse like the Israelis did a few years ago and taking out boxes of files. No, this is deep underground, and the entrances to that tunnel is been covered with dirt and some say cement. So you have to bring excavating tools with you. We have the Army Corps of Engineers. They could do this, but you'd have to drop bulldozers, diggers, etc., to get at that, all while being under fire. Remember, Iran has 1 million-man army, 1 million-man militia at their service. So these troops would undoubtedly come under attack with all kinds of Iranian arms. And then if you were able to get in and go down, then what are you going to do with that uranium? It's stored in canisters the size of a scuba tank. Well, we think there's dozens of those tanks. Are there decoy tanks there? Could the Iranians have put hundreds of fake tanks there? And then what do you do with this? You can't just take this stuff out willy-nilly. You have to be very careful on how you handle this material. Here's an example. We've done something like this before in Kazakhstan, where we removed over 500 kilograms of enriched uranium. That, with the cooperation of the Kazakhstan government during peacetime, took us a month to do. So that gives you some idea of how difficult this mission would be. I consider it, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's like drawing to an inside straight. It is very, very difficult.
And that is consistent with the intel that I've gotten from sources across the board in Israel and in the U.S. As well. Just really quickly before I let you go, I would love your comment on the escalation that we saw overnight, an intermediate range ballistic missile fired by Iran against a joint U.S.-UK base all the way in the Indian Ocean. How exposed are U.S. assets at this point, and how do we get a handle on just what Iran possesses?
Well, it depends how many missiles like this the Iranians have. If they have dozens or more, then we're very exposed. These are very long-range missiles and very difficult to shoot down. The farther they go, the faster they travel, the harder they are to intercept. This is not like hitting drones. These things are going to be coming in at 2, 3, 4 kilometers a second. Very hard to hit. Iran had put a limit on its ballistic missiles of 1,200 miles. But after the June attacks, the then Supreme Leader Khamenei lifted that, and that's when the Irans, we believe, have developed this longer intermediate range missile. It's twice the range of the previous missiles. So this is going to go 2,400 miles. That brings a lot of Europe into targets, and that certainly threatens, for example, even the aircraft carriers at sea who have been positioned out of range of the known Iranian missiles. Well, they're within range of this one.
Yeah, certainly an alarming development. Joe Cirincione, so much appreciate your on-the-ground experience and you sharing it with us.
Thank you, Ariel.